Hello there, everyone. Welcome to the wild, wacky, and weird but wonderful world of the Word. Yep, it's Saturday. Actually, I'm uh, recording this Friday evening. That's why it's in the dark and there's shadows because we're going to talk about a very shadowy thing, and that is books of the Bible that made it into the Bible that don't even mention God at all. Not one single mention of God. Now, how in the world can that happen? This is our sacred scriptures. We have two books of the Bible that don't mention God. And one of those that we're going to talk about right now doesn't even mention anything about religious uh, prayers or services, anything like that. And it became the basis for a Jewish holiday. Go figure. All right. Do you know the book we're talking about? I bet you some of you do. It's a book about a girl, a Jewish girl, who becomes the queen of Persia. Yeah, it seems that just to make a long story short, and this is a great story, it's a lot of fun, but to make a long story short, the king of Persia was having a party for the guys, decided to bring his wife out and have her do a little showing off, if you know what I mean, and she refused, so he had to do away with her because hey, can't have any women's lib movement going on in this empire. Boom. Now he had to find a new queen. How did he do it? Hey, you have a beauty contest, right? Only this was a really strange beauty contest. So many uh, contestants are selected. They're given a whole year to purdy themselves up. And then the contest is you get to spend a night with the king. And then he picks from among them the winner. Well, it happened to be a gal, and we'll give her her Persian name because that's the name of the book as well. Esther. Esther. Um, Now along the way, Esther gets along just great with the king, but along the way, her relative Mordecai, who had been working with her in the king's palace, found out that there was a plot against the king. He told the king about it, and the king was eternally grateful, thankful that he was told about this. All right, got that? But now there's an evil guy on the sidelines. Haman is his name. He's mad at Mordecai because Mordecai won't bow to him, and he decides he's going to wipe out every Jew that has been taken captive. Well, they were taken captive by the Babylonians, but now the Persians are in control. Decides he's going to wipe them out. Genocide. Well, Mordecai tells this to Esther and says, "You got to go to the king and do something." "Oh, I can't do anything. If I go to the king, he's going to kill me. He has to call you. You can't go to him." Well, to make a long story short, Esther saves the day. She's able to tell the king everything that's going on, and I'm not going to give away the fun part of the story, but in the end, Haman is executed. Mordecai is given lots of praise by the king, and the king allows the people, the Jewish people, to arm themselves and protect themselves against the mass slaughter that was to come. And that didn't come. So that is what makes this a beautiful Jewish holiday, Purim. It's one in which they celebrate God working behind the scenes to save the people from annihilation. Now, what makes it so interesting is, yes, God's name is never mentioned in this. There's no mention of God anywhere in this book. And again, there's no prayers, there's no talk about religious observances on the part of the Jewish people. None of that. Now, if you want to see something real interesting, when you get to the Apocrypha in our Bibles, in there's a little thing called the additions to Esther. They were written much later, and what they are different prayers by Mordecai and Esther, and a lot of other things that mention God. God's mentioned many, many times, and that's why we know it's not a part of the original manuscript of Esther. So why did it make it into the Bible? Because the councils, both Jewish and Christian, decided that this was a book worthy of us studying and looking at and talking about how God is in control of history, even when we don't see him, even when it's not so obvious. Interestingly enough, Martin Luther despised this book. He saw it as totally worthless. But we also have to remember that Martin Luther had a, you might say, anti-Semitic viewpoint as well. So keep that in mind when you find out that he didn't like this book, Esther. But here it is, a book of the Bible. No mention of God, no mention of religious observances by the Jewish people, but one in which it became the basis for a Jewish holiday. And one other thing to add of note, when the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered back in 1947, they found thousands upon thousands of fragments of every book in the Jewish canon except the book of Esther. Evidently, the Qumran community did not accept it as legit. That's the wild, weird, and wacky world, and wonderful world of the Word. God's blessings be with you.